I'm Justin Davis, and this is Joe Camp's RC. If you like the honest reviews, you want to win a Compass 2 SE, click on the link below, and you can get entered in to win this in September 2018. So, link is going to be active down there. Click it, and support me on my videos. That would be awesome. Skywatch.Ai insurance is on demand, and anytime you need it, check out the link below. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do an updated review of the Bison. This is the VKAR Bison version 2, but something is different on mine than the other reviewers out there. 3 or 4 months ago, this car came out, and I've had mine for quite a while, but I had something break on here that I had to wait for parts on to get it fixed and back out on the road for you guys to test. Now, I did some bashing with this little car, actually 1/10 scale RC truck, 4x4. Did some bashing with it, and I also took it to a local RC track so we can actually have someone who knows how to drive this thing on the short course, take it for a spin, and then give us his opinion on this truck. So it's not necessarily a racing truck per se, it's more of a basher and all-around 4x4 RC truck. Now, what's cool about this truck is the fact that it is running that Hobbywing 120 amp ESC, pretty fierce on the power. If you want to run this on 3S, you're probably going to be safe. Most of the drivetrain is going to be okay. If you run it on 4S, you're probably going to break stuff on here. Some of this drivetrain is going to give, and that's a lot of stress coming from that motor through the drivetrain, especially the spur gear inside here. It's going to snap all of those teeth off on the plastic spur gear. So keep that in mind. If you run this on 4S, you better be running that metal spur gear inside the Bison. So let's go ahead and pop the top now. Let's take a little closer look at what's in here, what's on my particular model that's shipping right now. After that, we'll go ahead and take it out to a local track. We'll do a little bit of bashing on some bike jumps and over on a big hill. And after that, we'll take it to the short course. All right, let's do some bench talk about the Bison. Now, there are some upgrades on this one you guys might want to see. This is the tire size, and it's also around a 330 millimeter wheelbase, which is pretty nice on 1/10 scale. And the charge time takes around 5 to 6 hours for that battery, give or take. Suspension is a little bit, maybe like medium soft. You could probably loosen them up a little bit. I thought they were just a little bit tight. Now, the car body itself feels pretty durable. I don't have any puncture holes in this car body, which is kind of amazing coming back from some of the bashing that we did at the rock pile. Normally, I have some kind of crackle or break. And let's just take a look at the upgrades inside the body now. All the suspension in the front's upgraded to metal parts, super heavy duty steering mechanism and adjustable oil shocks, which is great. And you do have LEDs on the front and on the rear. So when you brake, you do get a red brake light on the back of the car, which is pretty cool. This is where I broke the suspension pin. I actually crashed into a boulder out in eastern Oregon, and the suspension pin actually flew out, and so I had to wait for several months to get mine in, but finally I got it in, and GearBest sent me this suspension pin kit. Now, they come with different sizes, but you're gonna need the long ones on the front left right there, and that was my only compromise. Everyone else talked about the flywheel in here, but I had no problem there. I'm just going to take the dust cover off for you. It doesn't really keep every bit of dust out of there, but it does keep the big stuff. 2 little Velcro straps right there holding your battery in. And this is nice, a 3S 3500 milliamp battery. This one's going to get you about 22 minutes drive time if you're taking it easy, 15 minutes if you're really pushing this battery. And inside here, this is the layout. This is what you're going to have to work on if you do break something. But the servo is just under there. That's your 9-gram servo. And it's protected by this aluminum skid plate, which is great. You have a pretty good protection here. A little bit of extra bumper there protecting the control arms on the steering arms, which is not really nice. And you have your dust cover over top of your on-off switch, which is pretty standard with most of these ready-to-run cars. And this is the receiver. It's not covered in anything. It's not inside the box, so it's not going to be waterproof. So don't try to run this in the water. You'll fry your receiver. And this is the 120 amp Hobbywing ESC, air-cooled, very nice fan-cooled ESC, and your larger 3670 high torque brushless motor that's running your gear drive for your 4-wheel drive. Very nice setup. And the suspension in the back is decent. You've got your wheelie bars back here, which is great. You can also take these off if you don't want to use these wheelie bars. You don't really need them per se. But the skid plate, this is the most important part of this entire upgrade on this car. It's about $16 by itself, but it protects the front and back of the frame from breaking. Other people that I know that had Bisons broke them right at the front of this frame. This plastic frame has a weak point right in the very front, so make sure you get this. It's probably the most important upgrade on the whole car. Now let's look at the back here. Another protection upgrade that's on this one is the bumper plates right in front of your suspension. Your rear suspension has these bumper plates, and these are pretty nice. And here, if you can see it from another angle, that's just keeping everything intact right there and not really letting it get slammed by anything. Now the controller is not really like something super great. 4 AA batteries, pretty standard on-off button right there, your control wheel here, and up on the very top we have some more stuff up here. Throttle, steering, we have throttle trim and your steering trim on the right, over on the right hand side, and you've got a low battery LED. If this gets low, it'll start blinking and let you know. You do have about 200 meters worth of control range out of this particular remote. You have acceleration and you also have reverse. Now you also get in the box a 2 to 3S battery charger. It takes about 4 hours time to charge it up with this charger. This is the one that comes with it. I'd suggest getting a standalone charger. Your 3S 3500 battery, which I was super happy to see come in the box. Also with a Dean's connector and your instruction manual. It has all your parts inside. But let's go ahead outside now and let's get this guy going. I think you're gonna like the speed test. I was upwards of 55 miles an hour with this truck, so pretty quick. And we actually had a friend of mine come out with his race drone to do some chasing over top of the Bison. Give you a little different camera perspective right here, a little bit of chase footage here, see if you can catch up with the Bison. And the race drones are ridiculously fast. If you haven't flown race drones before, it's also a big rush, like you're sitting in the cockpit as you're flying 80-90 miles an hour above the race course. And right here I'm just doing some speed runs through the parking lot. My buddy's following me there. He's having a hard time keeping up with my turns because I'm turning really tight with this Bison, and right on by me there. Now let's take it over to the rock pile across the street. Let's do a little bit of bashing out on the street and over here in the rocks. Now this is where the Bison really shows some aggression, is the bash capabilities of this truck. It is all out, man. If you want to rip, you want to do donuts, you can do donuts all day long on 3S. Now what I gotta warn you guys mostly about is running this car on 4S. Other people blew out the spur gear, and I'm having plenty of fun on 3S. It's not quite as much power as I want, maybe a little underpowered to my taste, you know, if I can be totally honest in an honest review. But I'm still able to just go right up this big dirt pile and back down the other side, no probs. No problem at all on 3S. And I'm still able to do burnout and really burn out on the way up. Get some air over the top of the hill and take some hard hits coming down the other side. And some of these trucks that I've had to review for the last several years, they've taken hits like that and broke the wheel slam off. And especially hits like this one. That was a hard hit for the front end of that suspension. Everything held up. My suspension pin only broke when I hit a boulder going about 40 miles an hour head on. It's basically like hitting a concrete wall. Something was going to break. I knew I broke something in the front suspension on that one. But let's go ahead now and take it out to the short course. And I've got a friend of mine running this truck today for us, and he happens to be the lap champion. So you're going to see a real good test of the VKAR Bison going around this short course. Now, the thing you have to understand about the Bison, though, it's mostly a bash truck. It's a 4x4 bash truck, all-around RC truck. That's pretty much what this is. This is the beast that you see here, and this is about the best it's going to perform on a short course. What I'm noticing a lot about the Bison on the short course is the fact that it did come on 3S. It comes up a little bit short in some of the jumps, and that might be because of the weight, the power to weight ratio on this truck. But man, it's really moving going up the hill, and at some points he has more air coming back off the jump than he normally would, maybe because of the extra momentum and the weight that the Bison's pushing. But right there he landed a little bit short, coming back around. And the tires that are on here, guys, I've got to say the tires are not short course tires. This is not the particular tire you want to race. If you're thinking about getting an RC car and going out to the short track and learn how to race with the guys, the Bison's not really going to be the truck for that. You could maybe put some different tires on it that would be a little bit better on this type of course, but he's doing a lot of sliding out right here. These tires perform the best in probably heavier dirt situations and bashing in and around in rock driveways and things like that on rock roads. It's a lot of fun in the rocks, and it does keep the rocks outside of the internal components bay, which is great. That little dust cover keeps out all the big rocks. It keeps everything out of the drivetrain. They have it all blocked off inside there with the upgraded cover over top of your drive shaft, which is great. Had other RC cars recently that had some rocks slammed up against the drive shaft and the steering mechanism. Not a great place for rocks to be. But so far I'm really liking the Bison version 2. I have no complaints with this one, and mine came with the upgraded skid plate. Hopefully if you got one, you got the upgraded skid plate. If you didn't, you definitely want to grab that. That's going to keep your frame intact. If you don't run that upgraded frame skid plate on the bottom of your frame, you're probably going to break your frame at some point, and that's going to suck. You're going to take a big huge jump and you're going to come down and your frame's going to be broke. Then you're going to have to pull all this gear off and put it on a new frame. So $16 will save you from having to do all that. And we're getting an upwards of, like I said, like 15 minutes drive time if we're really pushing it. I had 2 batteries out here today. I had an extra DHK Hobby battery with me. It was I believe it was a 3600 3S battery, and I did not run it on 4S, guys. I know it would be super epic on 4S, and other people have already done it on YouTube, but we're not really looking to break this car today. We're looking to see what kind of performance I can get out of it on the stock setup, and really give you guys a good idea of that as well. It handles pretty good in the turns, and he feels like he has plenty of control with this truck. It doesn't have a whole lot of wander. The nose doesn't pitch forward in the jumps. He's able to control it on the jumps.
I think it's what it needs.
The only thing that we have an issue with the Bison on the short course track here is the tires giving, like, slipping out a little bit in the turns. You can see it kind of sliding around a little bit.
Yeah. You're still on.
And some of the cars are a little bit smaller that they're actually running on this track. And some of them are smaller and faster than the Bison. So the Bison would not keep up with your standard short course car on this track. No way. But for a basher, definitely a 5-star basher. I gotta say, I had a lot of fun with this truck today, and doing the speed test was fun. I knew that would be awesome. On 4S, you're definitely going to get way over 50 miles an hour on 4S, but you're also going to risk, if you take these tires on the pavement, they're going to balloon up and you might actually blow a tire. I've blown tires on 4S, testing tires on pavement, so be careful with that if you get one of these. Because she rips on 4S, guys. She rips at a new one. And if you have it out on dirt, you're probably going to be a little more okay and less likely to break something. But if you're going to run it out here on 4S, make sure that you do upgrade that spur gear, like I said before. Now, this truck used to be over $300. It might have been closer to the $400 range when it first came out. And it was kind of the new latest and greatest big thing. And a lot of people are paying that because it already had a lot of the upgrades that a lot of the name brand cars don't come with. And you have to upgrade a lot of aluminum parts later on and get metal parts for things that weren't originally metal, and it's like a giant upgrade process, and that kind of sucks. And that's why it's nice to get a car that has most of the upgrades you already need on it, which is sweet, especially if you're a first-time driver. A lot of first-time drivers are breaking all kinds of parts, and I guess the coolest thing about the VKAR series cars is the fact that you can source parts online. You can find them if you just type in VKAR Bison parts. You're going to find all kinds of parts available for this car, and I'll actually put some links down below for you guys to get some of these parts down below, because they do have that extra shock spur gear in there. You have extra shocks, all kinds of extra parts, and you do have that skid plate down there as well for like $16. So plenty of parts are available, and I think that's the biggest sort of beef that a lot of people have with a lot of Chinese RC cars, the fact you can't get parts too readily. But what I do is I make an order in advance, especially if I already know like certain pieces that I want to upgrade to or that I need. I'll go ahead and make an order in advance, and that way I can have all my parts on hand when I need them. And when I go to sell the car, I can sell it a lot easier because I have a nice bundle to offer to someone who wants to buy it. But so far today, we've had a lot of fun with the VKAR Bison version 2 and plenty of upgrades on this car, guys. 4-wheel drive, 3S battery, and 4S capable. Just do those upgrades and I think you're going to have a good time with this car. I definitely had a lot of fun doing this review for you guys. And I look forward to doing more VKAR racing reviews coming up because I'm starting to really like the VKAR brand stuff. I'm Justin Davis. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.